This is White Plains Week, the weekly roundup of White Plains, Westchester, and world news. With John Bailey, editor and publisher of the daily internet newspaper White Plains Citizen Net Reporter, WPCNR.com. Jim Benerofe, editor and publisher of SuburbanStreet.com and WhitePlains.com. And me, Peter Katz, formerly with NBC, ABC News, and stations from Boston to Los Angeles. White Plains Week, what's happening, who are the newsmakers, what's in store for the future. The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participants. White Plains Week is presented on Optimum Cable Channel 76, Verizon Fios Channel 45, and on the internet at whiteplainsweek.com, youtube.com, and wpcommunitymedia.org. Now, White Plains Week.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. White Plains, Westchester, and the world. White Plains Week, the City News Roundup show. I'm John Bailey, and good evening, too, to all you sick persons out there. Get well soon, Americans. And I'm joined by Peter Katz and Jim Benerofe, and Jim Benerofe has the headlines.
And here are the stories for the week of March 10th, 2017. Common Council approves 3-year retroactive contract with the White Plains firefighters. Will hire 12 new firemen. City assessment roll goes up $4.7 million, highest rise in 19 years. New assessment brings windfall to the school budget. We'll have another edition of Peter Katz reporting on our exclusive segment, Trump the President. Opponents of French-American School of New York vow to sue if council removes environmental designation from its Ridgeway Country Club build parcel by accepting FASNY claim it is a drainage ditch. Opponents say the water there is a stream. Meanwhile, we await the first hearing on the revised site plan. The White Plains Mall rezoning is approved for apartments, retail, first effort to revitalize the transit district. Lennar Corporation completes its acquisition of the White Plains Pavilion. Demolition promised shortly to pave way for 700 apartments. Westchester County Association plans roundtables to acquire public input on its smart growth program for White Plains, Yonkers, Mount Vernon, and New Rochelle. White Plains St. Patrick's Day Parade marches off at noon Saturday with a twist.
Thank you, Jim. And right now to the White Plains Week Rollo Newsreel March of Time for March the 10th, 2017, and that is, of course, the Common Council meeting on Monday night. We were there, and it was a interesting and a progressive evening. It started off with the reading of the consent agenda, and Milagros Lacuna on the right in discussing a $495,000 grant for White Plains tourism, pointed out that we should figure out what that will be, you know, how we're going to spend it, because they were told in the work session that it was going to take it to the next level, quote unquote.
Well, we don't know what the next level is.
Right.
It's interesting to note that Yonkers has just embarked on a new phase of its promotion program called Generation Y, Generation Yonkers. They are running ads on television, the local New York television stations, on the cable stations in Westchester. They're running a lot of space advertising, doing a lot of promotion.
That costs a lot of money.
Mike Spano, the mayor of Yonkers, held a news conference to kick it off March 1st at the Hudson River Museum. They're running ads on WCBS radio, for example. In the morning, they're sponsoring the Wall Street opening bell report. So there is some...
Isn't that expensive to do
Well,
that?
of course it's expensive.
Yes.
Thompson and Bender put this together.
Oh, love those commissions.
And
well, Yonkers is a big city. I mean,
yeah, Yonkers is a big city. The population
Well,
is
so are we.
multi-times that of White Plains. Nonetheless, there is competition. And so if you're going to compete with Yonkers, if you're going to compete with Mount Vernon, if you're going to compete with New Rochelle or Peekskill, you know, or any place in between, not to mention New Jersey and Fairfield, Connecticut, and New York City, you have to promote yourself.
But what are they promoting?
Well,
That's the
I mean,
question.
she
Is
has-
there anything I really want to go see in Yonkers?
she has a point.
Yes.
When you plan something like this, the way it's supposed to work,
Yeah.
and we all know this, having been in business, is that you decide what you want to do, and then you price it out and see what you can afford to do.
Yeah, well,
you don't appropriate a pile of money and then try to spend the money on something.
That was Mrs. Lacuna's point, and she also pointed out that she felt that the money on the survey done on the transit district was not really spent too well. And of course, the mayor was really nasty about that, and he felt it was really fine, really
Well, I don't
outreach.
know.
But the point
John,
of my
I don't.
but
I don't know.
yeah.
Is it
Let
proper
me-
to
let me
to characterize it as nasty?
Yes, I thought so.
Defensive, sure.
Yes.
But nasty.
He could have just let it slide instead of getting into an argument.
why should he let
There
it
were
slide?
what?
She's primarying him.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the
so he's
whole
going to
point
fight
of
back.
mentioning.
I mean, he'd be.
That's
you
the
know,
whole
that's what
point of
everybody
mentioning
did
this,
with
that
Trump.
this-
He
yeah,
just
yes.
bullied them into silence.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but
So
the-
you're saying Milagros should bully him into silence?
I didn't say that.
Well,
Well, I'm trying to make a point here. Can I make my point?
Go
the
ahead.
point is that this is the beginning.
Unless we bully you into silence.
Yes, what you're doing. So at any rate, the point is that this is the first of many of these set-tos between Ms. Lacuna and the mayor in the weeks ahead because of this primary possibility.
But you
And-
know, John, it's been a long time since we've seen a little back and forth in the Common Council.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I can't remember when we've seen that. Can you? No. Now,
You know, in a way, even though it's you know, what Mary Ann Keenan used to call the silly season, I think I've said that before, it's refreshing. It really is, rather than seeing
well, it raises
people-
the point that they have to really figure out what they're going to do with the 500,000 and what the heck they are going to do to attract people.
Well, you know, I was talking to a high-placed
we
official.
can't spend any more time
Well,
on
no,
this.
I just want to point out that I was talking to a high-placed official in City Hall who pointed out that
High-placed.
White Plains recently has become very popular as a site for motion picture and television production.
Yes, well, that is something they've done well. They have made it very attractive.
In fact, they did some shooting in City Hall about 2 weeks ago on a
Movies.
television series.
Movies.
Well, this was a television
Yes, right.
series
Right.
that was being shot.
Now, the council, Jim, also approved a 3-year retroactive contract when it runs through 2018 with the White Plains firefighters. And you want to tell us a little bit about that? There is the effective terms right there on the screen.
yeah, well, I think you know more about it than I do, but they just got a 3-year contract. I really.
Well,
Right.
I mean, doesn't it put them on a par with the
Yes, it
police?
does.
which-
Parity
which,
is
which
back.
is what they always try to do. I mean, you know,
Parity is
Yeah.
back.
no one likes to see the other union get more than our union has
Yes,
gotten.
right. The parity is back, and they also built in longevity raises for employees who have been hired after July 1, 1995. And then they also got the drug testing.
Well, random drug testing.
It'll be
occur,
determined
yeah.
by computer, and I'm told that if they suspicion that someone does have an alcohol or a drug problem, they will have a right to test them, you know, on suspicion. And they lowered the salary of starting firemen after they lowered it about $10,500. So this helps them afford the health care.
Well, they're bringing in a dozen new
Yeah.
firemen, so
Yeah.
that would be a bit helpful. If you knock off 12 12 firemen coming in and you're knocking off $10,000 on each starting salary. That's $120,000 a year you're saving.
Right. Now, the shocker of the week was that the assessment roll came out on March the 1st, and it is up substantially, 1.7%, but that translates to $4,730,000. And that goes up, the roll goes up to $281,659.61. That is the school district portion. The largest increase in 19 years, and look at the windfall that causes. Next slide. Okay, there's the White Plains school budget. With the new $625 tax rate, which they presented in February, the rate would give them a $176 million levy, which is under the tax cap that they are able to they had to meet.
Well, okay, so there is going to be a school tax increase based on this budget. However, the basis on which they collect the school taxes is going to go up because of the increased assessments.
That's right. It's found money.
So that's going to give them more money. So what are they going to do with this found money? Are they going to use it to try to ease the tax burden on taxpayers, or are they going to, or are they going to try to spend every dollar?
Well, if you don't spend it, you are stuck where you are the next year. That's the problem. It's always based on what last year's budget was. So if you don't increase the budget, it's you die if you have to buy more next year.
You actually have to be fiscally responsible.
Right.
Can you imagine what would happen if you got any Trump people on the school board to take over and to do to the school system?
It would be a bloodbath.
What they're doing to Washington
I thought they were going to put Betsy DeVos on the board.
in White Plains.
But
not a shot at that.
Let's take a look at the next slide. It is time for Trump the president.
Okay.
Right.
I didn't mean to
Right.
lead into it that
No,
way, John.
well, let's do it now. We're at the 15-minute mark.
Okay.
People have come to expect it right here, right now.
I certainly expect
And
it.
at the Trump clock, 1,411 days to go in
In the
Mr. Trump's first term. For those of you keeping score.
FBI Director James Comey met with key Senate lawmakers yesterday, where he discussed matters relating to President Trump's allegation that President Obama ordered wiretapping of Trump's phones at Trump Tower. A congressional source familiar with the ongoing investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election told NBC News. Never mind that what Trump did was to accuse Obama of a felony, because it would have been illegal for Obama to wiretap Trump, just as it was illegal for the Nixon people to break into Democratic headquarters at Watergate to plant eavesdropping devices. Never mind that Trump has no evidence to support his preposterous tweet from last Saturday morning. Never mind that if what Trump said is true, it would mean that someone would have had to have enough evidence to convince a judge that something illegal or threatening to the U.S. was going on at Trump Tower, so the judge would issue a warrant authorizing wiretapping of Trump's phone. Presidents, despite what Trump may think, do not have the authority to legally order wiretaps. Period.
But kings
It's
do.
the law.
Kings do.
Anyway, Comey met with Senators Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, remember Chuck Schumer? Richard Burr,
He's still in the Senate.
Mark Warner, followed by a meeting with Speaker Paul Ryan over on the House side, and Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, along with Representatives Adam Schiff and Devin Nunes. Comey decided not to answer a question from a reporter as he went into a House meeting about whether there ever was a legally ordered wiretap of anything at Trump Tower. Washington State will ask U.S. District Court Senior Judge James L. Robart to apply the temporary injunction he issued last month on Trump's first executive travel ban order to the new executive travel ban order.
The paper chase continues.
The state of Washington believes that tweaks to the travel ban do not get around the previous restraining order. Washington State's announcement comes just one day after Hawaii became the first state to sue Trump over the revised travel ban, and now New York has joined with Oregon and Massachusetts in jumping into this. They will look to sue Trump. A restaurant in Washington filed an unfair
This is
competition
funny.
lawsuit against Donald Trump and the company that runs his Washington, D.C. hotel, claiming he is siphoning away customers who hope to curry favor with the Trump administration by spending money at the Trump International Hotel. It's the Cork Wine Bar. It's about a mile and a half from the $200 million Trump Hotel. And they're suing Trump as a private businessman, but they suggest that he could resolve the problem by resigning as president.
An ulterior
As
motive.
you know-
But they settled it offer.
As you know, John and Jim and everyone, Trump has said he loves WikiLeaks. Well, on Tuesday of this week, WikiLeaks leaked nearly 9,000 documents, secrets
Yes, our
of the
staff is
Central
sifting through
Intelligence
them now.
Agency.
Yes.
These described the cyber tools and methods used by the CIA and their spies in their intelligence efforts. The leaked documents indicate the CIA has been able to exploit the vulnerabilities in your cell phones, smart TVs, and other devices to gather intelligence. They also reveal secrets about CIA tactics, techniques, and where the CIA is operating.
So they're releasing the Russian techniques next week, right?
I don't think so. Trump, when asked by a reporter about WikiLeaks distributing America's top secrets, refused to denounce WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks, as we know, has ties with the Russians and acted as the document distribution arm of the Russian government. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has not held a news conference with reporters since being confirmed, and this week he refused again to answer questions. So far, in more than a month, he has said just a total of 50 words to the news media.
No John Foster Dulles.
So far, he is refusing to allow reporters to cover his upcoming trip to China and Japan.
That's unheard of.
He has continued to fire the top experienced people at the State Department, especially the top diplomats who have handled Russia for decades.
Change of
The New York Times and Washington Post continue to report new developments in the links between the Trump campaign, Trump transition team, and Trump administration and the Russian government. So much so that it's looking more and more as if we have a Russian agent in the Oval Office, and more Russian agents working elsewhere in the administration. More details have come out about Attorney General Jeff Sessions meeting with the Russian ambassador during the campaign, and Sessions lying about it under oath during his confirmation hearing. It was revealed that Trump wanted anti-Russian items criticizing Russian action in the Ukraine and Crimea removed from the Republican platform. And Trump gave specific language to one of his staffers that he wanted put in the Republican platform, language favorable to, guess who, Vladimir Putin, and language which undercut NATO, which Putin wants to undercut. Trump's guy, who handled that at the GOP convention, has gone public, and he has publicly admitted in the press what he did. Trumpcare was revealed on Capitol Hill this week and quickly passed 2 preliminary votes in House committees. But it does not repeal Obamacare. I've read the legislation, and although it calls itself a repeal in its title and subtitles, it contains dozens of items which just amend specific parts of Obamacare. You can't cite paragraphs and sentences in Obamacare that you are changing to make new law if you repeal Obamacare. It still has to exist to be amended. And what Trumpcare does is help the rich and hurt the middle class and poor. Among other things, if you are between 50 and 65, your health insurance premiums can be almost double what is allowed under Obamacare. if you have a health savings account and you're rich, you can get a $75,000 tax deduction for money you put into your health savings account. If you're not among the wealthy, your contribution and tax deduction amounts to $4,000 tops.
That's the cost of a stove these days.
It restricts the ability of states to regulate insurance companies. It chops money for Medicaid and returns us to the days when insurance companies had the power to drop people at will. The Republicans are pushing the legislation along, even though it has not been reviewed by the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, which is supposed to analyze everything before Congress votes and has a history of telling the truth about what things will cost and what they will do or not do. During the Obama administration, the Republicans kept saying that Obamacare was failing because the number of enrollees was not living up to what the Congressional Budget Office predicted. And they said back then that the CBO is always accurate. Now they say they don't want the CBO to review Trumpcare because the Republican leadership now says the CBO can't be trusted.
Yes.
Can't make it up.
Amazing stuff.
The new Secretary of the Environmental Protection Agency, Scott Pruitt, who says that global warming is a hoax, says putting carbon dioxide into the atmosphere is not the real cause of global warming, which he says is a hoax. He says he wants to do away with federal regulations to control CO2, such as the regulations on automobile and coal power plant emissions.
How about smoking in restaurants?
Trump had dinner at the White House with Lion Ted Cruz and his wife. You may remember that among the more outrageous things Trump said in his effort to destroy Cruz during the campaign was that Cruz's father killed President Kennedy along with Lee Harvey Oswald.
Amazing
Lion Ted supposedly had a great time with Trump the other night, and maybe instead of Trump calling him Lion Ted, Trump should have nicknamed him Hypocrite Ted.
Amazing stuff.
Can't make it up.
Right, and
Well, I can make it up, but I'm not making it up.
well, no, I mean, and that's the only.
It's all
That's the
fake.
only place you can get that rather thorough roundup. And you know, let's go back to the city, for example. Several things also happened this week in White Plains that will affect everybody. The White Plains Pavilion was finally sold, and they are going to build. The Lennar Corporation paid.
It was $53 million, I believe.
Yeah, and they are going to be
Something like that.
starting that demolition sometime soon. So
Now,
that's
this is-
moving on
For
ahead.
those who remember, it's the old Alexander site,
Right.
and they're going to put up a couple of apartment towers there, 700 apartments, some
Right.
retail, some restaurants, maybe a little green space, I don't know.
Yes, and then back in the citizens to be heard portion of the Common Council, FASNY supporters came out and pointed out once again the strange situation that the council apparently is considering, and that is to remove the environmental sensitive designation from the bundle of the parcel on the Ridgeway Country Club property where they want to build their buildings, which would allow just a regular 4-3 majority if they did that. So,
Well, yeah, if you declare something an environmentally sensitive site and you
Yeah.
go through all the secret process and all
Yeah.
of this stuff, then you need a supermajority in order to approve.
and one gentleman who lives right next to the stream or water ditch said that it has been flowing. It flows all the year, and to him, that's a stream. You know, it flows even during a drought, apparently. Now, on Hamlet.
Actually, all they have to do is wait long enough for Scott Pruitt to do more at the Environmental Protection Agency in Washington.
Yes, well, now, back in the Common Council, Beth Smeda, shown to the left and
In the
in
center.
and in the center on the left
Why,
and the
that's
upper right.
you sitting with Beth Smeda.
No, that's
Have
John
you-
Martin.
Oh, that
That's
is? It
John
looks
Martin.
like you,
No,
John.
it's John Martin.
No, it's John Martin.
Looks like John Bailey to me.
Well, be that as it may, Ms. Smeda, when she made her statements on the fireman's contract settlement, said, despite Ms. Lacuna's incendiary remarks, we came together and passed this, and then after her remarks, Ms. Lacuna responded back and said, I did not say that. the firefighters did. You know, that they raised these issues throughout White Plains on how ill-equipped they were.
Yeah, this goes to whether the firefighting available is adequate in
Yes.
view of all of the new development going on in White Plains.
And what was interesting there is there are no members of the fire department that I could recognize for this approval of the contract, which I thought was unusual. I don't know what you think. Now, Hamilton Avenue, the zoning for Hamilton Avenue, the project for Hamilton Avenue was approved, and it took 2 months time. They presented this redo of 440 Hamilton Avenue into apartments, 2 months from suggestion, plan, and now it's approved. So that is coming up next on 440 Hamilton. That's how it looks from across North Broadway on the upper left, and that's the side. And now Bank Street is going up. That's how it looks yesterday. The bank's 55 Bank Street, and another view of that, if we can have it. There we go. And then, taking that to account, I want to show the school enrollments. The school enrollments projected by the school district through 26-27, they only expect it to be 7,074, which is pretty stable. However, with all these apartments that are being built, perhaps some of them might have children.
Well, some of them might, but mainly they're marketing at millennials.
Yes.
And seniors who want to downsize.
But millennials are fertile.
Yes,
They
but
might make a mistake.
But there's another 5-year spread there after it's built.
Sure,
Yes.
it takes a while for a baby millennial to grow into a school-age
Yes,
millennial.
well, that would hit 26, 27.
Yeah.
That would be hit 26, 27. That's my point. That they may have about 1,000 to 2,000 new enrollments.
So we'll have to
About
do
that,
a
yeah.
birth rate.
Well,
Study.
That's true. Now, parade time. There is a parade on Saturday, 12 noon.
Why, that's tomorrow. We're
Yeah.
recording this on Friday, so
Right.
when you see this show, it's tomorrow. If you're watching it Friday night, if you're watching it Saturday morning, get down to the parade.
And
If
there
you're
is
watching it Sunday, you missed the parade.
There's going to be and there was a drinking break from about 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Now, why would they want to close the bars? Just to
Well, they feel-
to prevent people from overdoing it right after the parade, perhaps?
Well, no, I think it was allowing people who had attended the parade, family types, to leave before the serious celebrators come in.
And just remember that it's a St. Patrick's Day parade. It's on a Saturday. Parking meter rules and regulations are in effect. Don't end up getting a ticket. It'll spoil your day.
Absolutely. Now, quickly, people to be heard, we interview 2 taxi drivers about the current Uber situation and Lyft situations, and I will see you on the radio on because White Plains.
WVOX. radio.
WVOX. What am I saying? I'm saying good night for White Plains Week.
It's about time.
This has been White Plains Week, news and commentary about White Plains, Westchester, and the world. The views and opinions expressed on this program were solely those of the participants. White Plains Week, produced by White Plains Citizen Net Reporter, and presented on Optimum Cable Channel 76 and Verizon Fios Channel 45. You may view White Plains Week anytime on the internet at whiteplainsweek.com, youtube.com, and wpcommunitymedia.org. For White Plains Week, this is Peter Katz speaking.